talk. The Home of Common Sense, 12:40 is the time. I'm Julia Hartley-Brewer. Benjamin Butterworth said he's getting a right old posting from you. Keep it going, kids. It's been lots of fun. Let's talk right now about Keir Starmer delivering record channel migrant crossings. Well done, despite, of course, smashing the gangs as he promised to do. Let's talk to Steven Woolfe about that, former MEP, Director at the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity. Very, very good afternoon to you, Steven.
Very good afternoon.
So talk us through, what is the latest record achievement of the Prime Minister?
Okay, so published on our site on the end of 31st of March, 6,543 illegal migrants arrived in the UK in small boats. That's a 33% increase on last year, which means that we're heading towards 80,000 arriving this year.
Oh, well done, Prime Minister. That's, what an achievement.
I tell you what, he's got our thumbs up at that committee to turn around and saying I'm doing better than all the other prime ministers before in bringing people in. And look at the numbers, though, Julie. Look, Benjamin's talking about numbers. £327 million is what we're going to spend just on this cohort in 1 year alone. Yeah. Now, if you want to give, £25,000 to those people looking for a home, that money could go to at least 13,000 to 14,000 couples to be able to get them on a starter home.
Yeah, this is the thing, and it's amazing how often it comes up in our calls, how angry and resentful people are when they are struggling themselves, but someone can arrive here and then they get given a hotel, and then they get, given benefits. Okay, it's a small amount, but at some point we know these people, they're never going to be shipped home. That's why they keep on coming, and they are going to basically get given leave to stay, at which point they're going to be eligible for homes in this country, competing with everybody else and be given benefits. We know that's what's going to happen. They know that's what's going to happen. Everyone knows, apart from the government that keeps denying it's happening. But this is the thing, isn't it? Is that it's untenable to carry on like this. Every country in Europe knows. That's why we've seen the growth of what they call the far right, what more sensible people call the hard right, people, well, I would say moderate centre right, with people saying this doesn't work anymore. We're not prepared to put up with it anymore. But what is actually being done about it? Because we've had this war, and the second day of this big international conference to tackle, the organised criminal element of smuggling. I don't believe for a nanosecond it's going to make any difference to the number of people who get on small dinghies. Do you?
I don't believe in the short term or even the medium term it's going to be. As I say, looking at those numbers, the people smugglers have made about £43 million just in 3 months to get their clients over here. And as you quite rightly say, there is no deterrent, because coming over here, you're likely to stay. And I find it laughable that these numbers, about 20,000 returnees that we're looking at from Keir Starmer. I've applied so many times for freedom of information on actually how many of them are related to those coming across on channel boats. And what it looks like, it's mainly those who are overstayers on visas who are volunteering to return. So he's failing on that front. Yeah. What will happen, Julia, is I think it will be a talking shop. I think there'll be more demands for money from France to ourselves. We've already paid $2 billion. And I think genuinely we won't achieve a great deal, because the biggest deterrent of all of Europe knows, is that you have to close the borders and return people to those countries. Yeah,
it is just that simple. And again, you can arrest every single person involved with smuggling right now, put them away for 20 years. Someone else will appear the next day. The price will go up, but eventually it'll come down again. There'll be enough competition. The economic rules apply just as much to this business model as they do to every other business, don't they? Again, I don't think many people are seeing there's any likelihood of this happening, but we've also had the latest cases. Again, so many of these cases where we do attempt to extradite them, and what a surprise we can't. Latest case, there's one a week now, isn't it? One a day sometimes. Zilmal Khan, 25-year-old, arrested in Britain last year, fighting extradition. He's an Afghan accused of smuggling thousands of migrants in the UK. He shouldn't be extradited to Belgium, a court heard, because there are mosquitoes in the Belgian prisons. They're having a laugh, aren't they?
I know we're laughing here, but we shouldn't laugh, because what we really are is laughing at the failings of our government to be able to understand the European Court of Human Rights. Yeah. We've discussed this on the channel many times. Article 8 does not prevent people that we regard as a danger to our country to be returned. In Belgium, this man was convicted in absentia, so therefore he is a convicted individual, and so he should be returned. What it means, he's not going to live in Scotland because of the moggies up in Scotland. Yeah. He can't live in certain parts of Wales for the same reason. Yeah. No, this is laughable.
I mean, I've been in Antigua, and it's very lovely, but you do get the odd bug. I mean, maybe you wouldn't want to go there either. I mean, it's just, but they are making a mockery of us. And we saw this in the Sun today as well. Migrants, I think Albanians, filmed boasting about coming over here, boasting about the hotel and the flat screen telly and the benefits they get, and we're paying those bills. They're open, they're blatant about it, saying, hey, basically advertising. Look, come on in. This is a system. We're not going to be sent home. They know better than the politicians how the system works.
They absolutely do, and not only when it comes down to how they get over here. They're encouraged by lots of non-governmental organisations who are provided with multi-million pounds in grants from local authorities and from the government itself to be able to advise them on the benefits and how to stay. It's a virtuous circle for the people smugglers' business model, and a virtuous circle for anyone who wants to get those into the black economy,
absolutely,
which is growing.
Can I just ask you just finally, you were an MEP in European Parliament for a party very much opposed to the European Parliament, campaigning for Brexit. What did you make of the conviction of Marine Le Pen for embezzlement of EU funds to be used basically for National Rally staff back in France? I mean, I think the conviction charge is banged to rights, but the question of whether the decision to, the punishment, stopping her standards in elections, and whether the decision to prosecute her and dozens of her party officials, and not perhaps many of the other people also doing something very similar in the European Parliament, was a political decision. When you were there, I remember there were lots of scandals being exposed by people like you and, Nigel Farage and others about the outrageous, in corruption and fraud and massive amounts of money that were just swilling around the European Commission and the European Union. What do you make of it all?
Well, I think it's a political decapitation of Marine Le Pen, and completely unfair to utilise the system that they've got in place to apply for a way that she cannot even campaign or stand in the next election until her appeal is over. So we know it's all about politics. In France, we had Sarkozy. He was convicted but was allowed to stand. We also know that the head of the World Bank, she was, I forgot the French lady at the name. She was
Lagarde, Christine Lagarde.
Lagarde, £500 million kind of fraud event, and she was allowed to continue. So this is particularly aimed at her, and it's not fairly applied. And I think that's the first principle why people are angry. But when I was in the European Parliament, we only ever saw those parties of the right being challenged on these issues when we knew for a fact, looking across at our other political parties and the socialists, the Greens, the German conservative parties, they were all doing exactly the same, and yet they were never challenged. And that is why it's disgraceful to actually claim that this is about democracy. It is about political decapitation, and entirely unfair.
Steven Woolfe, thank you very much indeed for joining us.